So what I'm doing here is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to make a screencast of this presentation and upload it to my YouTube channel so that it will be easier for you guys to watch and listen to and not have to kind of work around each other's schedules, because I know that can be kind of a nightmare with everybody having different plannings. But ultimately what we're doing is we are just going to talk about, or I'm just going to talk to you about some different ways that cell phones can be integrated in quick and easy ways in the classroom. And I understand that a lot of people know a lot of these programs already and you're very familiar with them, but perhaps I'm going to introduce some different ideas to you or offer up some different platforms that you might not already be familiar with that you might want to try out. Um, the idea here is that the kids have all of these great resources at in the palm of their hand, and ultimately, it's kind of our job to help facilitate their use in order to enhance our kids' learning with these different different devices that they have. They all basically have a cell phone these days. So how can we access them through their cell phone and kind of work to increase or enhance their student engagement? And we have all kinds of different potential. It's just as basic as possible with maybe, could you Google that real quick? Let's find the answer to that. No, I'm not sure. I don't know exactly the year that that person was born. Let's look it up. It can go all the way from the very basic to actually having our students use their cell phones to actually create and kind of demonstrate that highest level of learning and understanding. So here are just some very general ideas for implementation and some ways that I have done this in my classroom and that I've seen other people do it in their classroom. And I think that all of the strategies that I talk about in this video really can be incorporated, across the curriculum, not necessarily in one discipline specifically. Poll Everywhere is absolutely one of my most favorite things to use. You can ask a question, you get the kids' responses live. They do not have to download any kind of app. They just easily kind of log in through their text messaging service. You can integrate Poll Everywhere with Google Slides, with PowerPoint, with Keynote. You can use it all by yourself, um, just straight on the screen from the web. And it's really a fantastic resource that we have out there. This is an example of a poll that I did with my kids, and you can tell, sometimes they get in there and they have silly things too, but it creates a word cloud. There are all kinds of different options that you have. We were talking about a novel we read about someone who had kind of wandered off into the wild of Alaska. And so I was asking the kids as just kind of a warm up question, what is something you've done that's out of your normal comfort zone? And, it really incites kind of, a discussion in class, and it lightens the mood getting into what was a pretty heavy topic with what we were discussing in class. But the word cloud function, the more responses that come in for a particular thing, the larger the word cloud is. And um, it's difficult to put more than one word in there. That's why some of them are run together. But you can see they got a pretty neat word cloud up out of there. Um, this is another poll that I have, and you can see before the poll is activated what it looks like and how the kids respond. They text my name and the number to um, this number to join, and then once you click on this arrow, the arrows pointing out in four kind of quadrants there, then the poll is active and you can start collecting responses. The kids really like this. They like to see what's going on. In addition to the word cloud, which is my favorite, there's all kinds of different things you can do. Multiple choice. You have open-ended questions, which is really interesting if you have something that students might want to respond with something that's a little bit longer. You can even have these smiley faces and frowny faces, and you can use them as kind of an exit ticket and determining, how much of um, how good did you feel about the lesson today? Do you need more help with it? Do we need to revisit something? So you can really look at those different emotion skills too. You have selecting on a map, we have surveys, short answer, all kinds of different things with Poll Everywhere. And it's so easy to integrate into Google Classroom. You just copy the link and embed it in there into your assignment. And the kids can go directly there and join your poll. Or they can join your poll straight from the screen. Udoodle is something that I have recently discovered, and I really like it. It's web-based or app-based. In terms of talking about all the apps that kids can download on their phone, you don't want to download 35 apps, but if you could find 3 or 4 things that really work well with you and have that in your syllabus as something that you would like the kids to be able to download, then that would be really great and easy, and you can just have them their phone out and work on this at the beginning of class. For the kids that don't have phones, I tried to find things that were web-based too, so that they could use maybe some devices that you have in your classroom if you have an extra Chromebook or even your teacher computer. But UDoodle, it downloaded in seconds to my phone on the school's Wi-Fi, and you can take photographs, you can take their existing photographs, and you can annotate and you can create. And again, they can turn their assignment in easily to Google Classroom. They can even send it to you on Remind or via email. You can actually have them make memes and add things to the memes, and they can draw on photos and clip art. Some things that I wanted to point out here is these are some of the options that they have. They can make a slideshow. They can actually record a tutorial. They can write on their phone screen, like with a stylus. They could, work a math problem and talk through the math problem and send it to someone. They could work through the math problem and talk through it, teach it to the class, and actually cast it via your panel by turning it in on Google Classroom. This is something else that I did, is I just took a picture of a page from The Great Gatsby, and I was looking at ideas of how you could use this app to annotate text, without actually marking up the book. You could say, I want you to take a picture of this page, and I want you to circle everything on the page that you see as a status symbol in the novel, and I want you to upload this to Google Classroom, and this is your exit ticket today. Another thing that you can do is I did a found poem here, a blackout poem from a book page. And that way you're really, you're not messing up the book, but, they're still having that access to the text, even though it's more on the digital level. So this is a really neat app. I can't wait to get in here and play with it more, especially like the draw with friends. How could you collaborate on something together, and the record function. Canva is probably my current most favorite thing on the internet. I do a lot of graphic design, and most of the time when I do graphics, I do it in Photoshop. But Canva has made it so easy. Canva is also web-based or app-based, and if you have a Chromebook cart in your room, then this would be a wonderful thing for you to use with your class. But they can also use their phones, and they can do something really quick, like create a social media post or a Twitter post and turn it in, or they can do something that is a little bit more intensive, like an infographic for something that you're studying in class. And they can modify existing templates, or they can create brand new designs. Super easy to use, and they can download their files, and then they can share them also to Google Classroom to turn them in. This is a sample infographic template, and I thought that was a really neat looking template. And your students can literally delete the text that's there, use the existing template, or they can do what I've done on the right here with the do's and don'ts of copyright, and they can make the template their own and add their own graphics. There's thousands of different graphics that they can import from Canva. Both of these images I actually took as screenshots from the web-based platform of Canva. This is also something else that is available on Canva. They have a lot of different resume templates, which I thought would be really beneficial for some of our seniors and some of our kids who are getting ready to start applying for colleges, because it really gives them some ideas of some different things and some different formats that they could use with their resume. And again, this is also one that I took a screenshot from the web-based platform. These are all shots from my phone from where I downloaded the app. This is what the home screen looks like, and then this is how you can search your templates, and you just scroll back and forth up here. There's all kinds of different things. And then over here is what you actually look at. This is an infographic I did on writing the rhetorical analysis response. So even though I'm looking at it on something small like the screen of my phone, you can see how easy it would be to actually manipulate and work through something like this, from a handheld device. And this is something that, the kids could definitely do. It's super easy. You can teach yourself how to use Canva in about 5 minutes, truly. Super easy to share, super easy to download as well. Padlet is something that I think all of us are probably familiar with. It's easy to connect with Google Classroom as well. I had my kids do a Padlet a couple of weeks ago, and I just created the Padlet, and I copied the link to an assignment on Google Classroom. And this is great for sharing, it's great for collaboration. And again, it's super quick, it's super easy to implement. You can do it as a bell ringer or a workshop. You can also do it as a quiz, actually. Or you could even do it as an exit ticket. It's really limitless. And over here, we have some of the different forms that you can fill out in Padlet, some of the different uses. I think I just did a wall on the last one that I did. This is what I did. I blacked out the kids' names, but we had kind of a thesis statement writing workshop, and I linked it on Google Classroom right here, and then my students responded. And this way, they're able to see everyone's thesis statement, and as a class, we can talk about, what's really good there and what could be done better, and just kind of the hallmarks of what really makes a good thesis statement. And they can kind of look at their classmates' work and see where theirs stacks up, and also get some ideas for some really good composition. These are also some things that I really like on Padlet, is that there are so many things that are already out there that can give you ideas, or that you can look at and you can glean other ideas from, and that you can take and you can modify and you can make your own. So just kind of looking through the gallery is really, really beneficial if you're getting used to using Padlet, if it's something new to you. This is what the handheld Padlet looks like. The previous things were all from the web-based platform, but if you were to look at it on your phone on the app, this is where you choose what you're going to look at with your blank canvas. And then here's another one that I created today really quickly. Which character in As I Lay Dying presents the most confusion to the narrative, and why? And the students can respond to that. And then I just linked it right here, and you can see that it's been assigned to 86 students, but nobody has turned it in yet because it's not currently assigned. But this way you can see what they would see if they're looking at it on their handheld device and not necessarily on the computer. VoiceThread is also a really cool application that I had my students use last year. It also is Weber app based. The students can add photographs, they can add text, and then they can talk. And we created podcasts using VoiceThread last year. My students wrote a paper on social issues, and then they actually sat down and they talked a lot about what led them to choosing their social issue, and they created a podcast that they sent to me. And I absolutely loved grading it because I got more of a personal dimension to their project than I just got when I was grading their formal paper. But VoiceThread's super easy to use. This is a sample of one that I did a minute ago. This is just kind of an example of how you could use VoiceThread. Last year, I actually utilized it with my students, and they created a podcast for their social issues research paper. But I just wanted to do something rather quick so you could see some of the different things that you can do. First of all, this is a project that I gleaned from another English teacher years ago called the Open Mind Project that we use with Imagism, or the Imagist poets. And this is a representation of the images that are seen in the love song of J. Alfred Prufrock. So you can have your students do something of this nature and then use this app to kind of quickly describe some of the choices they made. In the poem, there's mentioned that should he dare eat a peach, kind of indicating, his age and the softness of the fruit. And he mentions Hamlet, and the women come and go, and they are talking of Michelangelo. So I have a lot of different symbols and a lot of the different things that are seen, and also kind of the idea that he's traveling down these streets at night, ultimately toward his death. So this is something that you could do, and you could have your students actually explain it and easily save their project and upload it to Google Classroom to turn it in. Another benefit of VoiceThread is that students can share their VoiceThread with one another, and then they can actually comment back and forth on each other's, either through text via typing or through speaking, through voice. CNN iReport is something I just have stumbled upon lately, and I think is super cool. It would be great for pretty much any discipline of academics, and it's something that would be interesting just to kind of check out and kind of help kids stay current with current events. But basically, they become the reporter, and they can use their mobile devices to share their photos. They can tweet, they can Instagram, they can make Facebook reports, and they have their own hashtag, which is CNN iReport, and they can share their own story, There are a lot of really cool things that can be inspired from the assignment desk. This is something that could easily be projected on our Sharp panel and that our students could respond to, especially if you have a class Twitter, then they could post their comments with your class hashtag and the hashtag CNNI report. Love Google Arts and Culture. I know you guys have probably seen this where you can take your selfie and it will match you up to a famous work of art. Um, my husband and I did that, and you can see he's looking less than pleased. But this is pretty fun, and there's lots of different things that you could do with just this part of Google Arts and Culture. I think it would be funny to kind of match your classmates up with whatever Google Arts and Culture matches them up with. But you could also do kind of a photo analysis between yourself and that as well. But what I was looking at is I looked up the Great Depression, and there was a wonderful photo series on the Great Depression in Google Arts and Culture. This is an app the kids have on their phone. You can also pull it up on the web. And I also looked up F. Scott Fitzgerald because we just finished studying Fitzgerald. And there's a lot of really great information that goes along with Fitzgerald that's not necessarily what you're going to get from like a Wikipedia article or, a literary based website. We had a lot of extra visual images and artwork that also went with them. This is just kind of something sweet and fun. My daughter is in the 5th grade and they read Wonder. And the Daily Wonder app is really neat. And I didn't have to buy it, it was free when I downloaded it. And each day it just gives you kind of a positive quote. This is something that you could easily have displayed on your panel when you come in. And, you could even talk about, who the person that the quote is by and kind of connect that to your lesson as well, just to build kind of a positive atmosphere in your classroom. We kind of forget to think about how we have these great quick tools in our hands. So often I forget that when my students ask to copy something down that, I'm okay many times with them saying, why don't you take a picture of that in your phone? Or um, do you have your news alerts enabled? What's going on in the world that you could potentially use to write a paper with? And I neglect to use QR codes. And I know that a lot of people really do implement those and they have great success with classroom scavenger hunts. And, just taking a moment saying, let's take 5 minutes and let's take out our mobile device and let's research one thing about this that we do not know and share it with the class. Dictionary.com, I downloaded their app and they have come a long way. They have a visual word of the day, they have all kinds of games, they have connections to pop culture. ACT prep apps. There are a lot of ACT prep apps that, give you full-length practice tests just in the palm of your hand, literally, but also have some good strategies that could be projected on your smart panel. I use Remind all the time. It's my favorite. My kids ask me questions on it, and I respond, and I send videos, and I send memes, and homework assignments, and worksheets. And I think that a lot of us also use Quizlet and Kahoot, but you know, for all of the things that we're familiar with, hopefully I've introduced you to something that you are unfamiliar with here today, and you'd be willing to implement in your class over the next 9 days before we leave for spring break. I do so appreciate you taking your time to listen to this, and I hope that you're able to get something beneficial out of it.